Hello out there, you slippery, slimy terror fanatics. Time for another satellite communication from your trusted source for all things spine-chilling, the horror movie douchebag. Tonight, I've brought you a heaping trough filled with crispy, finger-licking chicken tenders, the perfect companion meal for a film about a neck-biting geek gone wild. So strap on that feed bag, you fat fuck, and listen to me rant about the greasy pleasures of Luther the Geek. Written and directed by Carlton Albright, and then unleashed upon VHS by Quest Entertainment in the early 90s, Luther the Chicken Clucker made a bold impression right off the bat. Fangoria and Gore Zone magazine really hyped the movie at the time and gave it glowing notices. Anthony Timpone went so far as to say that it was the most riveting splatter film since Texas Chainsaw Massacre. I can't say I agree with that comparison, as old Luther doesn't reach that level of greatness. It doesn't even come close. So I'm not quite sure what kind of crack they were smoking at Fango headquarters that year, but Luther is a competently made horror film, chock full of spurting blood, sleazy shocks, and good performances. This barnyard buster kicks off by introducing us to the movie's namesake, Luther, nicknamed the Geek by prison guards. Luther has been incarcerated for the past 20 years for the cold-blooded murder of 3 people. His crazy ass received the Geek nickname because of his freakish penchant for biting into his victims' throats and then watching them bleed in agony. Also, he doesn't speak a word of English. The daffy cunt talks like a goddamn chicken. We quickly find out that somehow Luther has been a model prisoner for all these years, causing the parole board to stupidly let him walk free. Now how in the fuck is this guy fit for society when he walks around acting like he's a fucking animal? Does that make any damn sense? He even struts and jumps down alleyways like a rooster. These morons unleashed a savage animal upon the populace. And it doesn't take long for our pal Luther to get back to his normal routine. He starts off by eating some raw eggs at the local supermarket, but that just doesn't fill the void in his hungry tummy. So he tops off his afternoon lunch by taking some nice red chunks out of an old lady's trachea. Her ruptured arteries paint an entire 5-mile radius red. In the ensuing frenzy, Luther realizes he has to flee the scene, so he takes refuge in the back seat of a lady's car. Of course, she doesn't see him when she loads her groceries into the trunk, and thus he's able to hitch a free ride right out to her cute little farm. Once there, he attacks the blonde-haired mommy. She tries to fight back, but is no match for wild-eyed Luther, and he easily overpowers the poor broad, gagging her mouth and tying her milfy ass down. But the fun is only beginning, because the woman's college-age daughter has just arrived with boyfriend in tow. The girl is cute in that twat next door kind of way. She has a cherubic face, nice curly brunette hair, and a tasty rack. I wouldn't mind licking some sweet and sour sauce off those meaty sacks of corned beef. Christ almighty, I guess that's what they mean by corn-fed, my friends. One thing I can't understand is why this pretty little vixen would go out with this ugly pig. This guy is uglier than a blender filled with shit. If I was a doctor, I would want to test his DNA to make sure that his mom wasn't getting gangbanged by a St. Bernard 9 months before his birth. But that's purely speculation, and the important thing is that almost immediately after arriving, these hormonal horn dogs go right into mommy's house, take a shower together, and screw for about an hour before even noticing that something is amiss. From there, things go from bad to worse, because Luther takes them all hostage, and not even the law can stop this foul-feathered madman. The biggest draw for this movie is the highly original villain. This bald-headed nutcase clucks and squawks over the course of 80 minutes right into horror infamy. How many movies have you seen where the killer communicates like a chicken with a mustard bomb shoved up its ass? They should have made a movie where Luther teamed up with the duck-quacking creep from New York Ripper. It would have been a match made in hell, not to mention comedy gold. Edward Terry is the actor that played Luther, and he really puts the movie on his back and carries it to the promised land. He lets it all hang loose, chewing through the scenery and charging around like a king rooster with a malevolent twinkle in his eye. Elsewhere on the acting front, Joan Roth turns in a good performance as the distraught mother. She has to spend the majority of the movie in a heightened state of hysteria and does a damn fine job with free-flowing tears and copious screams of anguish. By the end of the feature, her character is in a completely shattered psychological state, and the acting conveys her mindset convincingly. Now, on to the makeup work. Are you craving extra helpings of gratuitous blood and gore? Well, you came to the right fucking place, tough guy. This movie has gallons of the red stuff, and not just some cheap-ass cutaway blood spatter, mind you. I'm talking Fulci-esque splatter here, the kind with realistic torn throat appliances and a lingering camera that shows true relish in the carnage. When Luther tears into some poor prick's jugular, the skin stretches and rips in that hardcore 80s gorehound way that we all love, and the dark crimson plasma spurts across the screen with the ferocity of a highway rest stop piss. You know what I mean. The kind of extra long piss you take when you've been driving for 3 hours straight and your dick feels like it's gonna explode from all the piss. And you held it in for so fucking long that the piss just keeps going and going and it seems like it'll never stop. And you have to hold your breath the whole fucking time because the rest stop toilet is streaked with pieces of rancid human shit. Anyhow, major praise should be heaped upon the special effects crew, as they deliver one gruesome effect after another. The apex is probably the brutal butchering of the motorcycle-riding boyfriend. Luther goes at this poor motherfucker with a kitchen knife and does a number on him that makes Jack the Ripper look like a kid's fairy tale. It's kind of sad that this was Carlton Albright's only directorial feature. He certainly displayed some talent here, and it would have been nice to see him make another horror film after this one, but it just wasn't to be. He did co-write The Children, a 1980 genre entry with Luther actor Edward Terry, so check that one out if you haven't already. Luther the Geek will ultimately be best remembered because of its original premise. It's amazing how straight the filmmakers chose to play this one. They could have gone in a more comedic direction, but instead chose to make the film as taut and grim as possible. And the laughs that do come are natural because they're intrinsically linked to the absurdity of the villain. Whacked out and filled to the brim with splatter, Luther is a one-of-a-kind experience, and its legacy will continue to endure as a noteworthy exercise in low-budget gore.